It's time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Are you fucking kidding me?
Guys, I got blocked again on Twitter.
I'm your mark of marks.
That's the most reliable source on the interwebs.
The social assassin at your disposal, bitches.
Mike, we got a guest tonight. We're here. We just watched AEW Double or Nothing. We have a guest, Chuck Hicks, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the humble abode of mine of watching Double or Nothing. So everybody listening, Mike, what'd you think, man? We just turned it off.
They just turned off. I do gotta say they delivered. It definitely delivered. It was, it was one of those shows that I really, the hype was there and it was real. They really showed me that they're going to be I wouldn't say a threat just yet, but they're definitely going to be something that's going to light a fire under the WWE's ass. It was a great show. It really was.
I talked about the production quality before, about what it was going to look like. It looked like a regular pay-per-view, like it's not WWE, but it's, it's Plan B. It's not a Coke, it's a Pepsi. It's the same thing, same different name. You know what I mean? Like that same. It's good. We just got the one show, but it's gonna want me to come back and watch more. I'm gonna tune in. I want to see what they're gonna do on TNT. A lot of things that happened, but Chuck, man, tell us, what did you think? Just watching it. You've been a WWE fan for a long time, right?
It was great. It was great. Dustin and Cody was one of the best pieces of storytelling I've seen in a long time. And the main event had a great surprise finish to it. I thought it went off with a real tune in next time. It's like must see TV just to see what happens next, to see where they're going after this. So overall, I thought it was a great show. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, some surprises. We had Awesome Kong, Jon Moxley, formerly Dean Ambrose. Mike, the biggest surprise at the end of the night. I mean, when was the last time we were saying we've seen somebody leave WWE and relatively soon to show up on another company? It had that Scott Hall, leaving WWE, showing up on Nitro that night. That it gave me that kind of a feeling on the pay-per-view. I don't know. Is this shots fired tonight? I mean, Cody Rhodes broke the throne of Triple H or something, right?
So many people were complaining about that. I loved it. I really did. I was going on Twitter, going on Facebook, and you had those people that were bashing the AEW product since day one, and they were nitpicking. They were trying to find any little mistake that they possibly could to take it and just make it into something big. And they were going with that. I absolutely loved the whole Cody Rhodes thing, smashing the throne. You brought up the whole Jon Moxley coming out looking like Scott Hall. Honestly, the first thing I thought of seeing him come from the crowd was the Shield. I thought of him coming from the crowd, like a shot at them at the WWE with the Shield.
Well, we know who made that promo, I guess, then, right? Was that an AEW promo?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of had to be, maybe? I don't know.
It wasn't WWE. We know that for now.
No.
Absolutely. I wasn't in love with the whole throne thing. I feel like they should just build their own identity.
Shots too soon, right? I mean,
they don't need to go to war with WWE. That was the problem. That was the main problem. Like we were talking earlier tonight with TNA. You just establish your own identity, and the fans are going to come to you.
And if you build it, they will come, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they've always got the talent. That again, Dustin and Cody proved they've got the storytelling. Even the Jericho Omega match, there was some good storytelling to it too. I mean, I think it was building more to the finish than what they were doing with Omega and Jericho. But there was some good storytelling there. So they don't have to go head to head with WWE to start out. I mean, this was their very first show.
Yeah.
So, let's let them establish things, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, because it is their first show. Because I mean, All In was kind of Ring of Honor with sprinkling of AEW taking effect, kind of a thing. So it is truly their first show under the Khan money, if you want to call it, or whatever you want to, his leadership or whatever, But for me, a lot of it was trying to get acquainted with a lot of these people because I don't have a lot of time to watch everything, but I've seen bits and pieces of some of these guys, but now I like to just soak it in, like who are these names, and I can start getting acquainted with them a little bit better, and try to get all that under effect. And what about, I think one of the biggest things we thought probably wasn't the greatest thing of the night was the debut of the AEW Championship, to where I don't think we needed that whole MJF, thing interrupting. Like, I think we just needed a quick. We just got out of the Cody match. We just needed a quick, calm the crowd down a little bit, show them the belts.
I think the MJF spot was fine, and I think that's where they should have wrapped it up. And then, Chuck, you and I were talking. We both came to agreement that we both thought that segment might have went a little bit too long, to a point where we thought Brett just ripped the belt out of the bag just to get the segment over with. I don't think that was planned. I think he knew that we had to get out of here, and so he just took that bag out, because by the time the camera came back, the belt was already in his hands, and Brett wasn't even facing hard cam. He was facing the opposite direction.
Show the damn belt. Pull it out quick.
I mean, I don't know. I don't mind, like, MJF. He cut a pretty solid heel promo, I thought. But then having is it Animal Boy?
Jungle Boy.
I'm sorry. Respect the Jungle Boy. And Jimmy Havoc, having him come out, and then they were all attacking MJF. It just went way too long. There was really no place for that. But you know what? The thing about that, even though that was kind of an overbooked mess, I just thought how great that was that they had someone as intelligent to the business as Bret Hart there to say, you know what, we got to get this going. Let me just pull this belt out, because I feel like it was supposed to go even longer than that. And I think what you're saying is right. Brett just said we gotta
show the belts. We're here.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta get back to the reason for this promo to begin with. Yeah.
And as of this recording, we don't even know what happened too. People were saying online that as Brett went to the back, he fell off the stage. Don't know what happened. I'm sure we'll probably hear in the day tomorrow or the days to come, but he was limping to the ring too, so I don't know. It's just,
saw that.
His old age, we're all getting old. I don't know. He's starting to limp, but
the one thing that I really loved during the show, I would constantly, every chance I got to look at Twitter, I would just kind of scroll through the timeline, and I saw nothing but WWE superstars tweeting positive things about this show. And they weren't bashing it; they were just in love with this product. From Sasha Banks, Carl Anderson, The Revival, Big E, Xavier Woods. I mean, the list goes on of all the superstars, the WWE superstars who are their alleged competition, just praising the AEW product without saying AEW, obviously. And I'm sure WWE, creative or Vince and them aren't really liking that very much, but it just shows the respect they have for the talent. And just,
you don't want nobody wants to bash on. Everybody wants everybody to succeed, of thing. And
I think those guys in the WWE, they look at this as like, that's amazing. Monday night, Tuesday night, we're gonna have to go out there and follow this.
It's like I said, it's only one show now, but when they start getting a weekly show, then we'll start to see, like, these guys are doing this, these guys are doing that. What fans are really tired of WWE? Will they start to venture just to see something new for a change? Like I said, there's a lot of WWE programming. We always talk about it. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live. Your whole week is spent around just WWE, but there comes a point to where I need to see something else. And I think the one biggest thing, which I'm kind of curious about when all this starts to get into full effect, of what happens to Impact, what happens to Ring of Honor, what happens to, these kind of companies, because if AEW has a bigger TV deal to where it's easier for me to just change the channel and I can watch them, as opposed to Ring of Honor where you have to buy Honor Club, or Impact where you got to find the station it's on. As silly as it sounds, you don't want to make it a task for somebody to find you on TV. Being AEW, maybe having that good TNT deal where it's easier access, but
helps.
Yeah, and it's going to break away because, like I said, I don't have a chance to watch all of WWE program. I'm always there for Raw. I'll tune into SmackDown later. I'll watch NXT now when I can. But, it's going to give me that plan B option, What's the other side of the pond doing, or something like that. And I don't know. It's going to be good for everybody. And everybody's going to step up their game. And that's what I think what maybe the fans of WWE or the wrestlers want.
That's what I want. Like, I mean, I talk about how I love the competition and I love the spirit of competition. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a wrestling fan. Like, I want to see, all right, AEW is going to put out a good product. All right, this is a game of chess, like we said last week on the show. It's basically a game of chess. Like, they're going to make their move. What's your move, WB? What are you going to do now? And me, I want to sit back as a fan and enjoy a WWE product and then tune in on Tuesdays and enjoy AEW. I just want to be a fan again. I mean, I was young during the Attitude Era, and I was young during the Monday Night Wars. So, I mean, I did get to experience it, but now I'm an older fan. I have more knowledge to the game, and I just want to experience that one more time in my life. Not a war where, like, one company's going to go out of business, but I just want to see what that term is, iron sharpens iron, where this company's good, this company's going to get even better, which is going to get this company even better, which we win as fans.
Yeah.
I mean, now for me, I've been a fan of WWE since Bruno was champion. So, so when back in New York when he used to come on at midnight at Channel 9. So, I mean, I've seen WWE through good, bad, everything. I want them to continue to thrive, but I don't want them to have a monopoly on the business like they had after WCW, ECW. Both folded and, folded into WWE, which was the craziest thing. But, it's good to have options. It's good to have different things. It's good to have New Japan out there. It's good to have TNA, whatever TNA is these days. But, no matter what, the thing about TNA, through all the adversity, they're still there, So I think that's a great thing. A lot of people make fun of TNA, but it's awesome that through everything they've been through, they're still able. I don't know that they're thriving, but they're still a viable wrestling company, which I think is a great thing. Having Ring of Honor out there, having Evolve, House of Glory, there's all these companies out there. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I think. I mean, there's so much out there. Like us, we go to like the NEW shows. They always put on awesome shows. There's so many things out there. If you're unhappy with one thing, you don't have to just sit on your computer all day and bash it. There's plenty of other options that you can go out there and find. And AEW, I think they just put everybody on notice that everybody's going to have to step their game up some. So it's an amazing time to be a fan of pro wrestling.
I will say this though, the WWE they have to start putting out good product right now, because if they don't, they're going to go to a smart wrestling fan city, and if they put out something terrible, the chants that they're going to be hearing. It's not going to be ECW they're going to be hearing anymore. They're going to be hearing loudly AEW. Yeah.
And it's like they don't need to be so PG with their product. I'm not saying they don't need a bloodbath on their show, because you need that kind of. I understand that they don't need that, but at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of hokey shit that goes on. Like we were talking about Lucha House Party. They don't need piñatas. They could just be awesome as the wrestlers, as themselves, to where I think, just because you're this gimmick doesn't mean, like, Kairi Sane doesn't need a fucking pirate ship. She doesn't need we don't need, not everybody needs to have these silly things. You can just come out as your name, put on a good show, tell a good story. But, like I said, that's what happens with WWE, no competition, where I always go back to my Doink the Clown and Duke the Dumpster Drosies kind of thing, to where at that time they didn't have no competition, and it was like okay to do these silly kind of characters. But then when WCW started building up, it was like, okay, we got to make this a little bit more real and get in that adult audience maybe, and still. So like I said, it's just all unraveling to at least everybody to change, everybody to step up. And I think the biggest thing coming away from this is that for me, Ring of Honor and Impact, does that kind of put them down a notch? Granted, they have television shows now, they have pay-per-views more than AEW has ever had, but it's a good product right now, I think, from what we saw, and then they can only get better from this, you know what I mean? So as anybody who bashes this tonight with any mistakes or whatever, it was just one night, right? It was just the first night, so Think of what it's going to happen as they start doing it every night or every week.
And we're going to see those occasional people that are still going to bash it. And honestly, they put out a good show for a first-time company, for a first-time show with them. There were some hiccups, there were some mistakes, but we expected that. We didn't expect perfection. And you're going to get those people that are still going to bash it. If they're bashing it still, it's not a AEW problem. It's their problem. It's them being petty about something. It's them being mad. It's the hardcore WWE fans that just don't want to see anything else different. But the funny thing is, those fans that bash AEW are also the same fans that complain about the WWE product.
Yeah.
And so it's a double-edged sword with these people. It really is.
Chuck, I want to ask you though, because you talked about don't go trashing or don't go starting a war with WWE. Cody did the whole throne with Triple H, obviously, breaking the throne. Do you think he went after the wrong guy? Or, Vince, everybody says maybe he might be on the way out sooner or later. But I don't think you want to get in a fight with Triple H right now because he's the guy that can put on a good product from what we see with NXT to where it almost seems like Vince is in his old man phase to where he's just going to do what he wants because obviously he's the owner and whatever, he'll do what he wants. But maybe he's out of touch, but I know Triple H really isn't out of touch, and I don't know if Triple H gets those keys one day. Do you think it's the wrong person to start a war with?
I mean, are you going to start a war with a 70-year-old man?
Go to the next one in line and just start it right up.
That 70-year-old man might show up at your doorstep trying to fist fight somebody.
Yeah, that's
or the
possible.
a checkbook to buy you.
But, I think they just wanted to just kind of take a shot at WWE, and Triple H's Hall of Fame comments, I think kind of made him the focus of that. But the healthy competition is good, but again, we don't have to make everything us versus them. You know, you can be a fan of AEW and WWE. Yeah. You don't have to choose. Or, it's going to be like, oh, man, WWE's going to crush these, indie punks. Or, you already have guys, oh, Vince is shaking in his boots. There's room for everybody.
Yeah.
As much as, the fan, and it's really, they're just the fans. It's only the fans that make it seem like there's not enough space for everybody involved, because like I say, look at all the WWE talent tweeting positive things about AEW tonight. Everybody wants to see everybody do good. They're all in the same business. It's like I remember watching one of those wrestling exposed shows years ago, and he's like, every time you put a guy in an arm lock, you could break his arm. But you don't do it because we all got to eat. So it's the same exact thing. It doesn't have to be AEW versus the world or WWE versus the world. There's enough space where everybody can eat, where everybody can fill an arena, and, like I said, my bottom line is, as a wrestling fan, I'm happy, Monday I can watch WWE, Tuesday I can watch AEW, watch TNA whatever day of the week they're on, whatever channel they're on, I don't even know anymore. But
coming soon to the Hallmark Channel.
Everything,
man. They're gonna. That's what I'm saying. I feel like with AEW now, you have WWE and AEW. I'm gonna put them up as the top two right now.
Yeah.
I feel like now both of them are gonna start gutting ROH or Ring of Honor or Impact just to get those other names, just to keep their cards stacked, maybe with names. Or I don't know. Do you think you're gonna have the hardcore? They want to stay with Ring of Honor. They want to stay with Impact. I don't know anybody in Ring of Honor or Impact that would say no to WWE or now at least AEW. So, do you think it's going to be prime time for the Pickens for both to gut both of these promotions to go to either or?
I think there'll always be a place for Ring of Honor. Let's not forget they just did a historic show at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
And although honestly, I'll tell you, being at that show, I feel like the New Japan matches were a notch higher than the Ring of Honor shows. Other than the triple threat ladder match for the Ring of Honor title, which I think was on par with the New Japan matches. I kind of feel like New Japan was more the saving grace of that show. I think Ring of Honor right now is kind of like in a little bit of flux right now. I think they're kind of at a crossroads. They're not sure which way they're going.
Yeah.
But I think there's still room for them and TNA to still survive and thrive, even with WWE and AEW right now being the two main promotions in the States. I definitely think there's still room. I mean, Ring of Honor's been doing it for a long time, and let's look at all the great talent that came from Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So they have like a great legacy behind them.
Yeah.
I gotta say, our own Angry Cooter, I really hope that he watches this show before he passes judgment.
Don't skim it. Just watch it. Soak it in. You
Not,
gotta watch it.
Cooter, if you listen to this, you better not skim it or read reviews or listen to what the sheep say or just, watch clips. Watch the show from beginning to end and give us your honest opinion. Mm-hmm. Don't just bash it because you heard this or you saw a clip here.
Yeah, that's right, Cooter. Watch the show.
Because Cooter has been one of the biggest critics of not wanting to talk about it since the day they actually debuted that it was going to happen. I wouldn't say bashed it, but he just had no interest in talking about the excitement of it. And Cooter will bash it even though he watched clips of it. So Cooter has homework to do, basically, to watch this show.
Yeah, and I know he didn't want to talk about it because they didn't have anything to talk about. So I hope, you got to watch it, Cooter. Now you have something to talk about, so we'll have to see what you get to say. But that's my dog right there. He's been letting everybody pet him, so if you heard him in the background.
That's his reaction to Cooter.
He's scratching his neck now. We'll wait for you. It's okay. It's all right. But no, guys, I mean, that's, I think, the hottest reaction right there. I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait to the next show kind of thing. But there was a little bit of a misunderstanding because I thought I was going to get it on the Fight app, but then it wasn't on the Fight app, so you had to buy it on, like, the Bleacher Report app and all this other stuff. So it was kind of weird last minute, but I guess they just wanted to make as much money they could. It was only on the Fight app if you were overseas or something to that effect, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
I'm spoiled by the $9.99. I don't know if I want to spend $50 every pay-per-view again.
You know what? I don't think every pay-per-view is gonna be $50 now. I think they kind of they have to bring that price down.
That's gonna be a competitive thing now. To where if all they need is an app, and like charge them. I know they don't need to have an extensive library like WWE, but all they need is an app to where they can stream it to, and then you can pay $10 a month for it, and then boom, you got somebody to
they had this deal with Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report, I believe, is owned by TNT and Turner.
One of the subsidiaries.
They can have something through Bleacher Report Live, and there you go. There's your $10.99 a month. You pay for Bleacher Report Live, you get the AEW pay-per-views. Yeah. Could be that. Hope they don't pull what was it? What ESPN Plus is doing with the UFC, which is the biggest scam ever. I signed up for ESPN Plus because they advertise that you're going to get the UFC pay-per-views. But in the small fine print, they did not tell you that not only are you paying the $9.99 a month, but on top of that, you don't get the UFC pay-per-views for free. With that, you have to pay the $69.99 for the UFC pay-per-view still on top of the $9.99 a month. So I automatically canceled my ESPN Plus. There was no use for that. So don't Bleacher Report, do not pull that card on me.
Nice. I don't know, guys. At the end of the day, it was a long pay-per-view. It's like 12:25 right now, so we'll wrap it up. But I mean, it went a little bit longer than expected. But I guess they wanted to,
I don't mean to cut you off, but I will gotta say this, and I know, hopefully, if Cooter watches the show, there's one match. There is a 6-woman tag match. I'm not gonna say who the people were involved in. But if
we don't remember.
No. There's a little thing that we have with our show, Credo. I think you know where I'm going with this, and I'm not gonna say it because I want Cooter to actually watch the show, and when he sees this 6-woman tag match, he's gonna understand where I'm going with why Credo didn't throw something at the TV during this match. So that's one of Cooter's homework assignments. Is he has to go back and watch this pay-per-view. I'm not even going to mention what match order this match is in. It's there.
You got to listen to us. Go back to the archives. You'll understand. But anyway, guys, Chuck, man, thanks for coming over tonight, Mike.
Oh, pleasure.
We had Greg here, but he left. But I don't blame him. Like I said, it was a long pay-per-view, but I think they had to get stuff out, you know. And yeah, it wasn't like 10 hours long like WrestleMania, but at the same time, it was a lot of match, a lot of storytelling, and they don't have a show next week, so they got to do what they can to carry them over to the next one in a month or two. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I didn't expect it. I was like, all right, they'll probably be done by 11. No, you know, kept going. It's fine.
Yeah,
but
it was good.
Either way, it's good to be a wrestling fan.
Help my interest, definitely.
Yeah, don't tug your peckers. I know. I'm back, bitches. It's been a while. I'm sorry I missed the viewing, Credo. I know. I'm sorry.
The viewing. You weren't there
the AEW viewing.
For when history was made, Cooter. You could have been in the room when history was made. And when we look back 10 years from now,
you missed a good show.
We'll say Cooter wasn't there.
You missed a good show.
Listen, I got the text from Mike begging me, please watch the whole pay-per-view because you're such a fucking mark. I want to get your legit reaction.
The
we wanted an unadulterated
show and not watching clips. Like,
the reason you're that guy that will skim through it and watch clips and then try to act like you saw the whole thing when you just saw video clips on YouTube.
I've never done that. I'm honest about my shit. I'm honest.
Okay.
Whether I like something, and I will say what I've watched and what I haven't watched. And I watched the whole fucking thing, Mike. I did.
Good.
I'm for you.
I'm proud of you.
Well, Cooter, we spent the past 20 plus minutes talking about our right after the show reaction. So come on, you watched it. Let's get your 2 cents in here. I mean, we gotta. The world wants to know with the angry ones.
He gives a fuck what I think, but there's some things that I liked about the show. And a few things that I really didn't like about the show. Liked Awesome Kong being there. I don't know why. That was a cool surprise. I think we've all complained about big women like Nia Jax, who can't seem to work with lighter and smaller talent. She's a perfect example, Awesome Kong, of how a big woman should work and protect the people who she's working with. Not Awesome Kong, but also Aja Kong. I love the fact that during the broadcast, there seemed to be no instant replays during the match.
Yeah, that was good.
That to me is really fucking annoying. I like a quick montage after a match. I want to focus on the live action. I don't want to have to do the split screen thing. I think that was a pretty cool. Either that or they're just like broke ass motherfuckers who can't afford a truck. I don't know, Credo. Maybe that was it, but. All right, something that I didn't like. I really was not feeling the commentary team. Oh, it was so great to hear Jim Ross do commentary again. I love Jim Ross. He's one of the voices of my childhood. I felt like he couldn't keep up with the action. He didn't really know what his role was. Jim Ross in a 3-man booth, no good. I want to see either you do a completely different announce team or keep him in the traditional 2-man booth. Let him do play-by-play and have one color commentator. Two play-by-play guys in the same booth was too much. And I don't think you either got to get rid of Ross or you got to get rid of the other one. And to me, honestly, dude, Ross, legend. I don't want to speak ill of the man, but let's be honest. He's not what he used to be.
He's definitely not what he used to be. That I can agree with, and we mentioned this. We talked briefly in the group chat about the 2 play-by-plays. I don't know why they had 2 play-by-play guys and then 1 color guy. To me, it just didn't make sense. Like at WWE, they have 3-man booths and they have 2 color guys and 1 play-by-play because that play-by-play person is supposed to be the main voice. And you had Alex Marvez and Jim Ross, and it kind of felt like they were both trying to like seek that moment to have their voices heard.
Yeah.
I didn't think Jim Ross was terrible. I just don't think he's, like you said, a 3-man booth is just not a Jim Ross style. You need to put him in there with 1 color guy, and that's it. I did like some of his one-liners and his comments. I mean, there was the one match I forgot. And forgive me, I forgot the one girl's name in the triple threat match, the real heavy set girl when she was on the top rope. Ross,
Aja Kong.
No, not that girl. That's a different match. There was a triple threat match with Britt Baker that won,
Oh yeah.
and Kylie Ray, and then there's another girl. And when she got on the top rope, Jim Ross was like, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a whole lot of women on that top rope right there." I couldn't help but laugh.
The other thing about Ross, he's got these liners like somebody it had to do with chops, and it was fucking some chop in somebody's chest, and it was a crimson mask. He goes, as Gordon Soley would say, and I'm like, dude, it's 2019. Jim, I love you, but nobody gives a fuck what Gordon Soley would have said in like the 70s. Stop, please.
And that woman was Nyla Rose.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, so all right. I mean, just some of the thoughts. Anything else, Cooter, maybe about AEW that stands out to you?
Loved the whatchamacallit, the wrestling matches themselves. I love the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers was amazing. I think that exceeded my expectations. I thought Omega and Y2J was okay, but it was like a fart in church. And listen, I'm gonna say it, Mike. The Cody match with Dustin was okay. It was good. But I mean, that blade job, it was like fucking Hale Collins in the Civic Center. Kind of came out of nowhere, bro. I don't know what caused it.
I think I liked it a lot because I was invested more into the story than you were.
It's not that I wasn't invested in the story. It was a good match. I think the blade job was a botcha bladia. It looked like something that I've already.
The Eddie Guerrero blading.
Yeah.
You want to know something? People were complaining about the blood. I didn't mind the blood.
Complaining about it. It was
not you, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's too much blood." And those are the same people that want Attitude Era back, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the blood added to the story. I think. I thought it was just the perfect.
I think the execution was what annoyed me. It was like they did that spot with the turnbuckle pad off.
Yeah,
he wasn't bleeding, and then fucking like 2 minutes later, when the camera's not even on him, he's gushing. It was like, come on, man. Like it was like that episode of Nitro when they were rebooting fucking when Eric Bischoff came back with fucking Vince Russo, and it was like the most blatant blade job, and it was caught on camera. Hogan, fucking terrible.
So if we had an Angry Cooter star rating for AEW's first pay-per-view, and remember this is their first pay-per-view, what would you give it? What rating would you give it? A star rating?
How many stars are we going up to? Because is it 5 stars?
They do the Meltzer
this is the
out of 5 stars. No, I'm only going to do 4 stars because I don't want to rip off Meltzer. I'm going to give it an honest 3.25. Okay. I thought it was a good pay-per-view. It was a good, solid first show. There wasn't any cheesy segments, with the exception of one. But I think it was cool that they used the belt segment with Brett and showcasing MJF and some of the guys on the undercard. MJF is a fucking beast, and I think he's gonna have a future in that company. But I'm giving it 3.25. Be honest, and good show.
That's fair.
And overall, I mean, at the end of the day, this is their first go at it, if you will. Like we said, Ring of Honor kind of pretty much had their hands in the other one. This was all AEW, and we just got a little bit of a taste of what we could see. And I think it ended the way it needed to end with Ambrose coming in, because now this sets up a whole new landscape, guys. But come Monday Night Raw, what did we see? People were expecting a response, or what are they gonna do? 50 minutes into Raw and no wrestling. 50 minutes. It's a fucking hour. 50 minutes.
Was it that long?
50 minutes, no wrestling. Talking, promos, Shane McMahon, like 50 minutes. That was the response. It's like they don't care. They didn't care. Do they care? I mean, because that little taste that we got of AEW to where the landscapes are going to change, and now with Ambrose on the other side, which I want to talk about later in his podcast with Jericho, but this is just the beginning. I think it's the next few months, next few years are going to be great, but someone's got to talk to Vince. Someone's got to start telling him this could be a real threat, and I know it's I don't want to say like we made fun of Impact. We've talked about Ring of Honor, but they don't have these these TV deals. I don't think they even have this kind of firepower with talent now, especially. But does WWE even care? I mean, should they start worrying? Do you think the planning is now beginning for what to do, or is it just we're not doing anything because
they don't care, and I don't think they have to care, because I think right now Vince literally looks at them as TNA 2.0. I mean, TNA had great talent, and it's obvious because most of that talent is now on WWE's roster. You know, there a lot of them are the fucking linchpins of that roster. Your AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Eric Young is on there, even though he's not really doing shit. Your Bobby Roodes. I mean, half that roster is TNA now. Let's be honest. They had a great TV deal on Spike. They had money backing them. They had guys like Dutch Mantel and Dusty working for them in the back. The problem comes when it's always going to be creative. You know, are they going to get too big for their britches, and, you know, are they going to try to swing for the fences, you know, and that's what's going to be the downfall. Are you going to sign the wrong guys? I mean, what really killed TNA? That was a great show at one point. And then you went and you hired somebody like Hogan and Bischoff. I think that's what Vince is hoping is going to happen. That company is going to grow to a point where they're going to try to accumulate a certain amount of talent, and that one fucking spoiled apple is going to spoil the bunch. I just got a feeling.
Now, I said I was going to mention it later, but I do want to bring it up briefly for anybody who hasn't heard it. I'm not going to give any spoilers out, but I'll tell you what. I was never a fan of Ambrose. Couldn't care for him. I didn't hate the guy as far as like hatred of like Alberto Del Rio that I had, but I didn't care for the guy, right? So
or Asuka.
Yeah, Asuka, whatever. But so I never cared for him. And whatever. I think what they did with AEW bringing him in was great. But I listened to the podcast that he just dropped on I Am Jericho. I don't want to give anything away, but he tells stories about creative and Vince. And this is honestly the first time I think that curtain's been peeled open more since the CM Punk Colt Cabana podcast. So if that's the first one you listen to, this should be the second one, because I mean Jericho's had people on the show from that are working in WWE now, but this is like the guy that left. Why did he leave? And he gives two stories of examples of how his everyday was dealing with Vince and creative. And I'll tell you what, it's very interesting when you hear what he has to say of what's kind of boiling right now in WWE. And now that they see what Ambrose did and where he went, listen to this show, and I'm telling you, I don't want to promote other shows on our show, but listen to this show. And I don't know, Cooter, I don't want to give anything away, but I think people are going to start to hear.
It leads me to a question with what he said and how he talked about certain people. Do you think that this causes trouble for Renee? I mean, let's be honest. She is married to the man, and certain people have been known to be very fucking petty. You know, it is what it is.
I wonder when her contract is up too, because if it's like 3 years, like she ain't going anywhere, or they're gonna ride her contract to the very last day and then some, if they will. I guarantee they won't let her go.
I don't care.
think it's gonna do anything to Renee. I really don't. As much as like we all could speculate that they'll go after Renee. Renee, you know, for what she does, I mean, she does a lot for that company, and she's a great interviewer. She's a great asset to the company. You know, her husband went out the correct way. Now, granted, what he's saying right now might ruffle some feathers, but I don't think they take it out on Renee. That'd be really fucked up if they did.
It wouldn't be the first time they've done something like that. It wouldn't
be the first time, but I don't think they would.
I don't think she should leave and be petty like AJ Lee did with Punk, because, I mean, she could have had a great career without Punk, and she could have been, a lot farther along in the WWE than she ever was. And Renee, I think, should stay. She was like the first woman commentator on Raw, the first one to do it in Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. So she's having a lot of firsts, and I think she's probably going to get hell of a lot more money doing what she does now. So but I'll tell you, when her time is up, I guarantee you she'll probably leave, and depending on how successful AEW gets, I mean, that's another big name for her to do stuff on commentary. So I think she'll leave eventually, but I don't think she should rush, if anything.
You know what's interesting is, even on SmackDown, the way they were booing that first segment with Shane.
Shane
why,
on Raw, Shane on SmackDown.
Shane on SmackDown. And granted, when you said 50 minutes now, I walked in, it was probably the end of the first hour, and where Roman was picking up some, I don't know, was that his cousin or some shit like that?
Yeah.
Lance Anawai. A friend.
I really missed that, because I was just getting home.
He's actually on AWP. He trained up here in Poughkeepsie. Man, I feel so bad for him because what a spot. You're going on Raw. You're going to do something with Shane McMahon, one of the, but everybody starts chanting AEW.
Yes.
And all I can say is he's probably getting heat because he didn't save the segment. Like they're going to find some scapegoat and poor Lance Anawai. So good for him, but at the same time, man, I feel so bad.
What do you think? What do you think is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back when that Vince is going to realize he has to do something, or maybe he doesn't even need to? We don't know. I mean, there's a difference between putting on one good show and a pay-per-view and putting on a weekly television show.
Well, really quick, and Mike, I know you wanted to say something too, but to do that though, I mean, I think what you said it with the whole the the post-match highlights or whatever. They're going to do everything WWE isn't doing, and I think that's where you're going to succeed in a way to where everybody wants this done. WWE won't do it, but AEW will. And once again, to that Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley interview on Talk is Jericho, he mentioned stuff about the creative and how it drew him away from there and how he's so happy about what he's doing now. So I think it's just all they have to do is the opposite of what WWE does.
The answer to your question, Cooter, I don't. After watching Monday and I was kind of hoping that they would have, some type of I wouldn't say a response, but just something to just kind of get the fans fired up a little bit. And when they didn't really answer, it's like they're paying no mind to it. I don't think Vince is going to even respond until it gets to a serious point, but I do think Triple H is going to respond on NXT. I think NXT is going to be the real battle right now with AEW. I don't think Vince wants anything to do with it. I think Vince, I mean, granted, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think Vince cares. I think Triple H is the one that cares. He couldn't get a war out of him on the main roster, so he's going to create a war through NXT.
I got to say, I did love the Brock Party t-shirt.
Oh,
I really did like that whole segment. I mean, Paul Heyman reading that contract when we all think he's going to pick somebody. And it's just like I said, now we don't know when he's going to cash in. It adds an element of surprise and excitement because you don't know when Brock's showing up. And when he's like, you mean I have a year to pick and choose? He's like, screw you. I'm out of here. Great. I mean, you couldn't have booked that better. That's the way it should be. I'm looking forward to certain things on WWE. I think overall they need to step their game up. But maybe it's a step in the right direction.
No, and then one thing I wanted to bring up too is that Sami Zayn electric chair promo. He mentions AEW in his promo. Now I don't know if that got past creative or not.
That's what some were saying. Yeah, some were saying that was a Vince thing.
And if Vince told him to go out there and say that, that's the dumbest thing you could ever do. Because what did that do after Sami Zayn mentioned AEW?
The search results.
The search results on Google spiked. The fans in attendance throughout the rest of the segment were chanting AEW. And you could hear it loud, clear as day.
Yep.
It was the dumbest decision, if it was a WWE decision, to even mention them.
I don't think it was. I'll be honest with you. I mean, Corey really seemed to cut him off real quick. Like he jumped right in there and tried to cover up over the cheers and the chants rather. So I don't think I bet you we got some heat for that. He probably did.
Going back, I tweeted. I was like, I can't believe I live in a world where Brock Lesnar's Money in the Bank briefcase is a boombox. Now, at first it's ridiculous, but when he came back later and was like, I got to hear what you said, I laughed. I was like, this is funny. I get it, but this is their comeback, if you will. I mean, Raw, okay, let's do something different. Let's do something edgier. They're just going to keep rolling right along till Saudi Arabia, and it's like, Fucking the Dolph Ziggler promo seemed like fucking 20 minutes. Shane McMahon promo seemed like 20 minutes, and I'm like,
too much talking, man.
I'm like, this can't be memorized scripts. I feel like they have a little handshake agreement being like, okay, listen, Shane, you can say what you want. You're one of the few that don't get a script. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys actually do need a script, because I can't fathom what they even actually memorized any of that. So it's one of those things where the boss's dad's son gets to kind of do what he wants, and man, they really must think Shane McMahon draws all the ratings. But
I really think Shane needs to come up with new material, and the reason why I say this, because he uses the same line on Mondays and Tuesdays for the past month. And it got over the first time I heard it. I laughed the first time I heard it, but then I'm hearing it Monday and Tuesday for the past month and a half, where he says, "What kind of man would strike another man's father?" And that reference when Roman struck Vince McMahon, but he's also the guy that beat the shit out of Mr. Miz. So, like, he uses that line every week, and it got a pop out of me the first time, but now it's just like you're using it every week, man. Like, come up with something new.
Here's the other thing. Am I the only person who's over Dolph Ziggler, too? He's just showing up out of nowhere. He'll be here for like 2 weeks, and then he'll go back on booking tour somewhere. I don't know. I don't see the point to him being there anymore. You know, I'm kind of over these part-time guys.
I think they bring him in to save the show, but
I think he just resigned too for Double.
And he's been there for so long that they kind of give him that leeway to do stuff. I know, like he'll go on Fox and do all these interviews and stuff, and WWE trusts him so much because they know he won't say anything bad on TV about them, kind of a thing. Like, they can trust where he goes, and he lets him do his own thing while doing a WWE career. But I don't know. It's the creative though, because it's like you can't just bring him in. People don't like, what's he been doing now? All of a sudden he's having a heavyweight championship match, and it's like, why? What's the story behind it? Is it we have nobody else to go to? And it's the creative, man. I don't know, but out of all that, what happened on Raw, at least to answer to AEW, Cesaro and Ricochet was fucking incredible. Cesaro's new entrance, man. I didn't get it the first week. I had it grow on me. The second week, I love it. It's an epic entrance. It's a push to make him bigger than what he's ever been, and I'm hoping that goes in the right direction, because the dude look at what he did with Ricochet, and that's what Raw should be. I said too. I tweeted this, like, you want to compete, put on the best wrestling in the world, and that right there was an incredible match. If they opened the show with that match, I would have been like, fuck, that's a good answer, like, just good wrestling. Man, it was incredible.
You know what's funny, too, is that we've seen these little mini pushes for Cesaro. They give him an opportunity to have a little bit of a singles run. He was one of those guys in the fucking U.S. Open Challenge when Cena was champ, and there was another time where you thought he might actually get a push. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, maybe that comes into mind. But it's like Vince doesn't have the faith in him. This will probably be like the third or fourth time where it's like, yeah, I'm ready to bust through that ceiling, and yeah, it's just not going to happen.
I know, but what an incredible match, though.
Yeah, it really was.
It was just, it's. I didn't need to know any story. I know they wrestled before that, but it was like, it's one of those things where not everything needs 20 minutes of a promo before or whatnot. Just like put on a good match, and then if that builds into a story or something, whatever, fine. But like, get people's attention, and these two guys complement each other very well to make what Raw should be, and fucking the best wrestling in the world. So even SmackDown, but anything else though? Did any Raw, WWE programming stand out? I mean, like the electric chair you mentioned, I'm like, they're really throwing shit on the wall. Let's ask the fans anything.
You know what? The backstage segment with Andrade, he finally cut a promo that I was impressed with. The one about what he did to Finn Balor in that Money in the Bank ladder match. I thought that was actually probably some of his best mic work since I've seen him in WWE, including NXT. That's a match I'm looking forward to. Andrade versus the Demon, even though that's probably going to end up being a squash because it's the Demon. But either way, if they let this match actually be a match, I'm really looking forward to it.
It's funny you bring up Andrade and his promos. It was a great promo. And for once, I didn't think of the Japanese guy from Major League 2.
Yes.
When he cut, because that's all I thought about. Every time Andrade would cut a promo, I think of the one guy from Major League 2, the Japanese guy, is like, "You have no marbles." Like, that's all I think about.
Man. Well, like I said, there's sprinkles of Raw programming that are great, but then a lot of other stuff. There's no really good answer, I guess, at the end of the day, but we got that little bit of glimpse into what AEW can be in the next few months, especially the kind of roster they could have in the next few months if anybody else's contract ends. It's an exciting time, guys. I think there's kids out there that didn't really live through the Attitude Era and understand it fully unless you watched the Monday Night Wars on the WWE Network or whatever. But, like, to literally sit at home changing back and forth to each channel, granted they're not going to have any same shows on the same night, but that was an exciting time. And that was like, who's going to keep my attention now? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm excited for all this in general because it's piquing everybody's interest and it's making wrestling great again.
Yes, sir. And one last thing, Credo. The untold story of Nitro possibly making a comeback. It was one of those network specials.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Monday Night Wars, they had Jarrett on there, Eric Bischoff, just a short little 20-minute interview type of thing. Really, really, really well done. A story of what they were planning to do had Bischoff and that company bought out WCW. So, you know, when you talk Monday Night Wars like that, that's just something I had to throw in there, bitches.
Yeah, man. You know, Mike, we're going to NXT TakeOver this weekend. Hopefully Triple H might have a better answer just for keeping the fans glued, I think. Are you excited for this weekend? Because next weekend we're going to have to talk about that Saudi Arabia show where the Universal Championship match is Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins. So, need I say more?
Exceed or better than WrestleMania, guys. Exceed or better than WrestleMania. We got.
Look at that fucking card. It's the drizzling shit.
That's what Saudi gets. WWE takes all the $1 million and we're going to give you Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins.
Let me ask you. How long is the entranceway in Saudi Arabia, and how long is is it going to take the Undertaker to get to the ring? Because that was a long walk.
He's going to have one of those entrances.
Marches at least. The Undertaker looks like literally one of the Walking Dead dragging a fucking foot.
He's going to have that same entrance he had at WrestleMania, I think 33, which was in Orlando, I think, or 32, or no 33, where
I'm halfway.
Yeah, he came out from the stage halfway. That's what's going to happen. He can't make it. But besides, going back to NXT, I'm excited. I mean, NXT always delivers. They never put out a bad takeover. I mean, we had AEW who put out a good show. NXT is about to happen. I mean, I'm sure they're going to come with a great show as well. I mean, and I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. Like Matt Riddle says, this right now, we are living in today's golden era wrestling. Like, we're going to get good wrestling. I don't want to say too much from the main roster because they have a lot to work on, but we're going to get some good stuff from NXT. We're going to get some good stuff from AEW coming up soon with their Fyter Fest event. We talk about Impact. Impact has been putting out some great TV for the past couple weeks. There's great wrestling all over the place, and I'm just happy to be a fan.
That's still on TV?
Well, you got to catch it. The thing is, it's tough to catch, and I just happen to have the app that you could watch it on. And I forgot, it's that gaming app. What the hell is it called?
Twitch?
Twitch, that's what it is. I downloaded the app because I wanted to watch it one day.
Wait a minute, Impact is on Twitch?
It's on a gaming fucking platform.
Yeah, you could watch it on Twitch.
All right, let me guess.
That's how
Tommy Dreamer has something to do with that?
I don't know, but that's how difficult it is for a lot of fans. That's why
see him in that battle royal. They must have reinforced that fucking ring. Oh my god.
My goodness, a lot of other people.
I can't go to live events on the indie scene because if somebody were to hear this, I might get shot.
Well, either way, guys, it's an exciting time to be a fan.
Botchapladia.
Marks.